Like I
Yes,
said, I'm a fan
sir.
of your show.
What up, y'all? Welcome to Hotep Ish, Intelligent Ish Talk, Intelligent Shit Talk. Y'all know me. I like to run my mouth. We are here live with my very special guest, Mr. Ronald Herd. What's up, my man?
What's up, brother Dewan? I'm good, man. I'm still alive. It's crazy out
Still
here.
alive. Still alive. Fill in the chat room, y'all. Fill in the chat room. We're gonna let the chat room fill in some. Um, we're gonna let the chat room fill in some so we can get people in here and so they can ask their questions and see what's going on.
Oh, definitely.
Um, but while that's filling in, let me get a little background from you, my man. Like, how did you get? Because hold on. Before I even go into the background, I want to go into how I discovered you and how I found you. I was just really getting into YouTube around 2012, 13, but not much. To me, it was still like the Dwan back then is way different than the Dwan now. And I was still more by the book. If it's not mainstream, it doesn't exist. That kind of ideology. And so I kind of had to ease into like the YouTube world.
Hmm.
But the first channel I subscribed to was yours because you were interviewing Dick Gregory. And I always had a love for Dick Gregory. And like at the time, I didn't understand. He was my favorite comic. I was at the time 3 or 4 years into the comedy. And Dick Gregory was like one of my all-time favorites, but I never quite understood why he never got the recognition that he deserved in that comedy top 3, 4 comics ever. Especially considering the fact that he put Bill Cosby on at the end of the day. Like that's you don't get much more grandfather than that.
Mm.
And so I got to hear him on your channel and hear him more. And as I heard him speak, I was like, oh shit, that's why they don't put him at the top. The same reason why they don't put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the top when it comes to the NBA, because he talks about what's real. So you helped expose that. You really ushered Dick Gregory into the internet generation. Every millennial, Gen Z, or Gen X who's listened to Dick Gregory have you to thank for bringing him, introducing him, and reintroducing him to a new generation. And then you did the same thing again with Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown's TV show was off. People, the media had started sort of slandering him. Oh, Judge Joe Brown was drunk, and that was kind of my lasting impression of Judge Joe Brown
Uh-huh.
from what they were saying. So you gave a mic to Judge Joe Brown, and now everybody is talking to Judge Joe Brown, and people are getting their whole channels lifted up off somebody you brought back. So I look at you as a pioneer in this internet media game. You've been a big inspiration to what I do, and I want to make sure that people know that that you one of the forefronts and leaders as far as new media and what's going on. So I welcome you to my show, and I'm glad to have you on here, my man.
Man, it's an honor, man. I like words create worlds, man. I don't know what to say. I didn't. I was like Forrest Gump. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just kind of goofy like that. Like what's that? Steve Martin movie, The Jerk. What's that called? The Jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like all shook type of thing. But I'm glad that people like you received that. It was interesting because Dick, what really got people into Dick. It was like when we did that review on Django. I don't know if you remember that review we did
Yes,
on Django.
yes, that
I didn't
Django
know what I was
review.
doing, man. I was going through a real bad breakup. Just had the holiday post blues, and I reached out to Dick, and Dick just said that, and I didn't think nothing of it when I uploaded it. And all of a sudden, Dick called me within 24 hours, said he was on the phone with Quentin Tarantino and Jamie Foxx, and they said, "Oh, thank you for giving us this strong review." I didn't know what I was doing, so
Oh,
that
that's
really
what's
kind of
up.
started things off.
Okay, so that's how it got started because that's one of the first ones I heard. And at the
Yeah.
time, I just figured y'all been doing that.
Well, I did. Now, let me go back. I did first interview Dick in 2011. It was actually suggested by a friend of mine, the late Marcus Jones, who was the father of Michael Bell of the
Uh
Gem of
huh.
Six movement. Like we became
Yeah.
friends, and he recommended, brother, you need to reach out to Dick Gregory. He gave me Dick's home number. Dick always had his phone number listed in the phone book. which is interesting.
That's
You know,
very
and this kind of
interesting.
person he was. He always had his phone number, even his cell
Yeah.
phone, in the white pages. But I had talked to a woman, which I found out later might have been his wife, because she used to pretend like she was the maid or something, because she's very shy, which is
Uh-huh.
Lillian Gregory. And so she told me, "Oh, you want to fax this? You know, who's doing faxes in 2009, whatever." So I just didn't follow up on it like I should have.
Uh-huh.
This something told me I need to follow up on it back in 2011. And so the first thing I did was read his autobiography, Nigger, which should be read today, still relevant
Yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I put in the facts and I interviewed him back in 2011. Kind of took a break from doing that in 2012. Then I came back at the end of 2012, just reach out to him about the Django thing, among other things. And like I said, I put it out there. It took off.
Okay. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Because it's like, so you said you were sort of going through some things, and it just
Yeah,
sort of
some girl
happened.
problems, women problems. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, my brother.
Oh man,
Hey,
but it was good. I think of turning lemons to lemonade, right? The Beyonce isms of it all.
yes,
You know.
that's real cool, man. Because it's good to know that, to see that you followed, what your plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how did it go with Judge Joe Brown? How did that come about?
Now it's interesting. You talked about his show went off the air in 2014 over contract disputes,
Uh huh.
and he was running for district attorney here. No, Judge Brown was the first black DA in Memphis, Shelby
Oh, I didn't know
County,
that.
back in the day. I mean, he's a pioneer. I mean, he's from L.A., but Judge is a little bit from everywhere. He sounds like he's from down south,
Yeah.
more so than L.A. More than South L.A. He sounds like he's from down south.
Uh
But
huh.
anyway, I met him at one of his campaign events at this place called Ernestine's and Hazel's. Got some of the best burgers in the country. I know y'all got a lot of great burger joints out in L.A. Y'all like the
Mm-hmm.
capital of hamburgers, but this place got a great hamburger, a soul burger. It's supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
like haunted bar. But I met him and I just became friends. Hello, how you doing, Judge? We took a picture. I talked to his publicist. Then I set up an interview for, I believe, that June of 2014, and it just took off from there. I mean, we started talking on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
I took him out to eat for Olive Garden about 5 years ago in July after his birthday. His birthday on July the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So we really got to get to know each other a little bit better, and it just went from there, man. So it's been like 6 years going on.
That's mad cool, because it's like, again, it's like you struggled twice. You brought someone here that then you're introducing them to a whole new crowd. Like, I liked his show.
Mm-hmm.
As far as judge shows went, but I wasn't really that into them kind of shows. Period.
Right.
But it would be like, when I returned to it, be like, all right, cool, whatever. But then when I started hearing Judge Joe Brown on your show, I was like, oh, this dude, I see now. Okay, now I see why they start throwing all that drunk driving and nonsense stuff out there. Because it's like, okay, he's talking the real thing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because, like, when it comes to media, what's up, brother Jermaine? Thank you for joining the chat. When it comes to media, you can identify what's going on
Mm-hmm.
by who they throw their slander at. That's kind of how you know who to look at.
Yep.
You
That's true,
know,
man. Yeah.
it's like, okay, if they're over here talking crap about this person, then that's probably somebody I need to be listening to. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about, we gonna transition into of course, news of the day, Nick Cannon. We're gonna transition into that. But talk to me a little bit about, I know Dick Gregory and Nick Cannon were real cool.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about Dick Gregory and some of the struggles he said that he went through, being someone that was on the front line of what's been going on. Oh, are you there?
Yeah. Yeah. You can hear me?
Okay, I hear you now. Yeah, I hear you now.
Yeah, I know it is this. They always mess with people with this stuff. Um, Dick, he did so much for the movement. Every time I hear a Dick Gregory story, it's like it's a Hollywood movie.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to believe. It's like he's a superhero. He's a real Avenger, or part of the Justice League or Just Us League. So I
Yeah.
mean, he really. What people don't understand about Dick Gregory, he sacrificed his career for the movie. Bill Cosby took his spot. Bill Cosby said his own words. He said on Arsenio Hall show that I got Dick Gregory's spot. He gave it up. Richard Pryor had a lot of respect for Dick Gregory. All these cats. He
I think we losing you. Can y'all hear Brother Ron? What's
me,
going on, Ecam? You there?
brother. Want you hear me? You good?
Okay, I hear you now.
I don't know if you caught it, but he really got into the movement because he and they really a lot of things. So he started giving a lot of money and resources and time down in Mississippi.
Okay.
And what I don't know, we still there?
I'm here now. I'm here. I hear you.
Yeah, while break it up at all, I know it's
It
technology
was,
kind
but
of weird,
it
man.
was, but it seemed like it's back good again.
Okay, I don't know where you caught me. You kissed me out talking about how you met Medgar Evers.
Oh yeah, go start there, Medgar Evers.
Yeah, he met Medgar Evers, and it really got him into the movement. He gave up the way he was thinking about things and really committed to the movement. He committed money, time, and resources. He was very much a part of the Mississippi campaign. A couple of things. Dick Gregory was the sole inspiration for Freedom Summer of 1964. While the white college students came from up north, down south to do the freedom schools, he was the inspiration because what happened was that the Kennedy administration, the federal government, cut out food and aid to the black residents of Greenwood, Mississippi, because they dared to register to vote. So Dick, he got help from his friend Hugh Hefner, the Playboy guy. He loaded up a plane with tons of food and supplies and delivered it personally to the people of Greenwood.
Oh.
So the organizers of the movement, like Bob Moses and them other cats, they saw what he did. He said we should do that for a whole summer, give aid and relief to the black folks in Mississippi Delta, and call it Freedom Summer. So he's the inspiration for that. Not only that, Dick put up the reward money to find out what happened to the civil rights workers, Swarney, Cheney, and Goodman, the guys who disappeared on Father's Day, 1964, during the Freedom Summer campaign. He put up the reward money, and I believe the FBI matched that. And he actually found out what happened to him before anybody else. A lot of people knew. And they always give credit to this mafia hitman named Greg Scarpa, who was an FBI informant. He was a very prolific hitman for the, I think, Colombo crime family. They say he allegedly came down Mississippi and was started making people offers they couldn't refuse. That could be true, but Dick played a prominent part in the Mississippi campaign. He supposed to have died with Medgar, but he went home because his son, his namesake, Junior, died of a sudden infant death syndrome. So Medgar encouraged him to go home. So he drove him to the airport to Memphis to go back to Chicago. And Dick was close to Malcolm X, of course. People talk about the weaponized celebrity interview that Malcolm did. But Malcolm did it to a lot of people. Like, if he didn't know you that well, once he get to know you, Malcolm's type of dude, he apologized. Everybody say he was extremely shy. But, if you confronted Malcolm and said you was wrong for how you treated me, same thing with Lorraine Hansberry. Malcolm said something about Lorraine Hansberry, the playwright of A Raisin in the Sun, about her and her Jewish husband.
Yeah.
And so Lorraine Hansberry confronted Malcolm about it, and he apologized. And it's ironic, they both have the same birthday of May 19th.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's
Yeah,
up.
5 years apart. Malcolm 25, May 19th, 1925. Lorraine, I believe, May 19th, 1930. And but getting back to Dick, Dick Gregory ran across the country twice. Like, you talk about Forrest Gump, he's the real Forrest Gump, but he had a brain and a plan. That's the only difference between him and Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
He kind of planned it out that way. So he ran across the country twice to bring awareness to hunger and to black suffering and stuff like that. He almost got the hostages out of Iran, and the government sabotaged it. He was over in Iran, almost got the hostages out of Iran, and the Carter government sabotaged it. And then Ronald Reagan made that deal to get elected. The October, he made a deal with the Iranian government to release him on his watch. So Dick Gregory almost got him out on his own. And then he was the spiritual guru for John Lennon and Yoko Ono. He got them off of drugs permanently. He detoxed them. Like, he actually was summoned by John Lennon to come to Europe. They were living in a cave castle. They were living in a cave mansion. And Dick went over there, detoxed them guys, gave John Lennon a prayer book that led to the song Imagination. And John Lennon gives Dick Gregory credit for that song by giving him that prayer book.
Oh, okay. Okay. See, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was all out there. That's why you gotta get the receipts. But that's why we don't know who we are. So how we gonna know about Dick Gregory? We don't understand who we really are as a people,
Yeah,
as well as
yeah,
individuals.
yeah. And that's why I like, your show so much, because it's always information like that. Like you guys always, and I like the local politics you and Judge be talking.
Yeah.
You guys talk about a lot of local Memphis politics,
Yes,
and it's
sir.
like when I hear you guys talk, it's like all around the world same song, because we can be talking about the same stories here in L.A. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
You
He got
you
roots there out there. He know about
yeah.
our situation. L.A. Confidential 2020, baby.
Yeah, you know, from you guys. What's up, BJ in the chat room? Jermaine, thank y'all for listening. Chuby on YouTube, thank y'all for listening. We got people on YouTube, Facebook. Thank y'all for listening. Comment in the chat
Worldwide,
room.
man. That's what I'm talking about. It's a
Yeah,
movement. It's not a moment. It's a movement.
it's a movement. It's a movement. So yeah, man. That's why, like I said, that's why I value your channel so much, because it's always information. I found out about Fort Pillow from you, and I found out from how
Oh yeah.
bad Nathan Bedford Forrest from you
Oh my
was from
God.
you. You know.
You read my mind. His birthday was on Monday. We celebrated like they celebrate Dr. King holiday nationwide. It's a state
Yeah.
holiday. And I can get to I'm making a list of all the things. Nathan Bedford Forrest got more memorials and stuff to him in his honor in the state of Tennessee than Andrew Jackson, James Polk, and Andrew Johnson. He was 3 U.S. presidents. He got more monuments and stuff to him than all 3 of them combined. His hometown, he got a school named after him, Nathan Bedford Forrest High School, junior high and high school, in his hometown of Chapel Hill, Tennessee.
Tell the people who Nathan Bedford Forrest is and why
Well,
he's so notorious.
Nathan Bedford Forrest was like the Michael Jordan of slave traders.
Damn.
He was very prolific, man. He made his family fortune off of that. Also, he was the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was a proud Democrat. He was a delegate for the 1868 Democratic Convention. He was a Confederate general. Uh, People believe he's a military genius because what he did on horseback, they still try to replicate that in military academies throughout the world and in tanks. Like there is a story that said that Ernst Rommel, the Desert Fox, the great military genius from Germany under Hitler, he came to the American South back in the 30s allegedly to study the battlefields where Nathan Bedford Forrest ruled on. I mean, he was the king out in the western frontier of the American Civil War.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
the state of Tennessee had more battles in the Civil War than any state outside of Virginia. But the state of Tennessee was the last state to leave the Union, the first to return. So he's also known as the architect of the Fort Pillow massacre that happened April 12th, 1864 in Fort Pillow, Tennessee. This is also like the home place of Alex Haley, who wrote Roots. His family got roots in that area in Henry, Tennessee. But Fort Pillow was a fort guarded by Union soldiers. Half the soldiers at the fort were U.S. colored troops. And so what he did, his men, he like either 1,500 to 2,000 men. They slaughtered just about all the whole U.S. colored troops. They couldn't surrender. So these guys were getting their eyes gouged out by bayonets. They was getting them set on fire, burying them. It was even reports of women and children being there. And people said that babies' heads were bashed in. And these are primary sources. So you got people that will try to glamorize and rewrite and reinvent the history, but you're getting this from primary sources on both sides, the Confederates and the Union. Blacks and whites reporting this stuff was going on, all this carnage. So you had about almost 300 U.S. colored troops, also white Union soldiers, majority U.S. colored troops, and some women and children getting massacred on that day. And Abraham Lincoln did a congressional inquiry into what happened, and he even said it was a massacre based on what he saw from the reports that was given to him from the people who actually talked to people on the ground. So
let's see, and that dovetails. What's up, David Banner in the chat room? That dovetails on what we were saying. What we want to talk about with Nick Cannon, because right there, that's our suffering. That's our history here in the United States of America. And people in Memphis are still living under that. The descendants of the people who did survive are still around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
And there's when you listen to Dr. Joy DeGrew's work, you understand that stuff gets passed down through our epigenetics, through our DNA.
That's right.
So what I see happening here in America is it's like black people, we're told to sit our suffering to the side so everyone else can have a good time.
Right.
While at the same time being told to walk on eggshells around everyone else's suffering. And this is out of respect for the Jewish community, because Well, I want to. Y'all had a Holocaust. It happened. You know what I mean? It is. You know, I'm not shitting on that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all went through it. Y'all recovered, and you guys are doing good financially in what you're doing right now. But just because you went through your Holocaust, don't mean you can stop us from talking about ours.
That's right.
Our Ma'afa that's still going on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when you talk about the transatlantic slave trade, when did it stop? What date? You know, when did the peace treaty get signed? You know, when
Right.
it comes to talking about the enslavement of black people, yeah, the end of chattel slavery ended in 1865, but we all know slavery didn't end. So when we're talking about our oppression from our point of view, other groups need to step the fuck back and allow us to heal and grow. You know what I mean? And that's out of respect, but it's disrespectful for you to say, okay, for you to jump in and talk about your plight when we're amongst ourselves talking about ours. And this is in reference to Deshaun Jackson a couple weeks ago in football, and
Yeah.
now as of yesterday, Nick Cannon being fired from Viacom for having that interview with Professor Griff, where he and Professor Griff was just talking information. Who were the
Right.
Jews? Who was this? You know, put no one out. No one. They're saying he made anti-Semitic comics, and this is what I want to do. I want to, before I have you get your opinion,
Yeah.
I just want to show the people what it is we talking about when we say that. I'm looking at the wrong one. Here we go.
Okay.
Nick Cannon dropped by Viacom over anti-Semitic comments. Nick Cannon's hateful speech and anti-Semitic theories led Viacom to cut ties with TV host and producer. We looking through here, but nowhere in here does it say what the hateful comments were. No one is saying what the bigotry is. They're talking about the episode he had on Cannon's class. And I saw that episode. I posted on it right after it happened. I saluted
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cannon the day the episode dropped, because it was like, ooh, they went deep in this one, you know.
That's right.
And they're saying that he failed to apologize for perpetuating anti-Semitism. My question is, how can people call a Semite anti-Semitic? Who are the Semitic people? Look it up.
That's right.
You know, and so here it is. This is how you know it's basically BS. You scan the article. It's all of this. They're saying, okay, again, they're talking about hateful speech. They're not telling you what he said that's hateful. So basically what it looks like to me, Brother Ron, is that he's being pushed out for telling the truth.
Right.
I know that you yourself, or what you do on your platform, you're also a truth teller. And I know that your channel's also been under different shadow bans.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of subscribers. People like me love to listen when you have stuff, but I'm not getting a video notification till a week and a half, if at all, after.
Yeah.
Being a person that speaks with freedom, what's your take on what's going on with Nick Cannon?
Well, I think, it's a price to be paid. We in an upside down world. You got to have your own moral code. You can't let society dictate the terms of your morality or existence, even on that. And it reminds me when you said that. I remember Puffy with the All About the Benjamin song.
Yeah.
And had that line, stack chips like Hebrews, and Clyde Davis got mad. You call a black woman a bitch, you call a black person nigga, but don't talk about us Hebrews. And y'all ain't not even real Hebrews. You know what I'm saying? They Jewish. They not Hebrews.
Like we Hotep-ish. I'm not a full Hotep. I'm ish of it. I still eat meat, goddammit. I'm not going all the way there.
That's right. That's right.
I smoke weed, burn incense, and eat pork. So I'm Hotep-ish.
You a hybrid.
I'm a hybrid. Right. I'm ish. All right, go ahead.
No, but like with Nick, Dick Gregory had a lot of respect for Nick Cannon. Dick, I call him Baba's chosen, the people that Dick try to tutor or mentor. I call him Jegna. I don't like using the word mentor. I call him Jegna. Because we know what a mentor really was in Roman times. They call him,
Yeah.
Still today,
I kind of use, yeah, good point. The mentors used to been the mentees across the Roman desks and have them count down from 10 with normal numerals and say, hey, just breathe. It won't hurt that bad. Yeah, good point on not using the word mentor. I may have to rethink some things on my Breakthrough Advocacy website. Y'all see down here at the bottom right. But go ahead.
I mean, really, I think Nick is a very smart guy. He knew that he was taking a chance when he did what he did. And to me, it just verifies what he says is true. And that's the power of being truth teller. Because if he wasn't telling the truth, how come you silence him? And you really being hypocritical because y'all love Hitler. Y'all love talking about Adolf Hitler. That's a good industry. I mean, look at the History Channel.
Oh my
I used to say, you
God.
call it the Hitler Channel. You know what the history? Or it's the Hitler Channel.
You
Which one?
can't you can't go 3 days without watching Hitler programming on History Channel, Discovery, or Science,
There
or
you
one of
go.
them.
Or the Smithsonian Channel, or whatever.
Yes. You're going to
Like,
see Hitler at least
yeah,
every other day.
exactly. So what did he say wrong? Or did he even say anything? Was it that he had a guest on that said things? Why you holding him? Why you holding it against him? What about Joe Rogan? He have all types of interesting people on his show. Why nobody have him silence Joe Rogan? Not saying anybody should be silenced, but I just think it's interesting when you compare and contrast what people are allowed to get away with and what people can't get away with in these times.
That's real talk, because it's like when you see who gets away with things and who doesn't, you start. Here's where I want to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing what's happening, and I see Nick not apologizing. He made clear certain things that he said, but he's not backing down from the overall message of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that, because what I see right now in black society is black people are starting to become unafraid.
Yeah.
And like what Dick Gregory used to always say, fear is the only thing that's stopping us from our liberation.
Mm-hmm.
No tank, Vietnam, Korea, these places, all Iraq, Afghanistan, they've all proven you don't make enough tanks to stop some people's spirit in their heart.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, some people gonna die, but Haiti proved, you come right back. You know what I mean? You gonna still live. And Cuba's proven that. We talked about that yesterday with Brother Obi on this program. Black people in America are starting to develop that level of fuck it. That's what I call it.
Yeah, I love it.
And when we get to that, because we got that level when it comes to our own family members, but we ain't got it when it comes to them.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's why I hate when people talk about black on black crime. Like people with these weird statistics that get out skewered. Well, it's more black people killing white people and more black folk black. Nah, I don't trust the numbers. And the numbers don't lie, but people got agendas. And that's how you read it. If we were that violent and vengeful, we should be running everything by now. Black folks should be running everything.
No, the numbers don't lie, but the people reading them do.
Yeah.
And so, you know what I mean? The numbers is already are. You can make a number. There's a book called How to Lie with Numbers. As a matter of fact, Bill Gates said that was one of his recommended books, so I recommend that book because he recommended it. And I read it. And, if you take statistics class, you understand what it is.
That's right.
So, but what you see is people who are black and who stand on their blackness. I'm surprised Nick Cannon got as far as he did with the mainstream, with him being that way. So I think what we're seeing is things are changing. You're starting to see Nick Cannon is taking pro-blackness as far as it's ever gone within mainstream society. Even if this show, The Masked Singer, got canceled tomorrow, Nick Cannon is going further than any other mainstream artist.
What about Ice Cube though? What do you think about Ice Cube? Why he didn't come to Ice Cube aid? I mean, everybody left him out there on like a one man on an island type of thing. It seems like with Ice Cube.
See, to me, when it comes to hip hop, Ice Cube is the greatest. Like no one ever.
I love Ice Cube too.
I mean, yeah, Ice Cube. Yeah, I would say Ice Cube. But one thing Ice Cube did, which was smart, I don't blame Ice Cube for this at all. As he started to get more into it with his movies, he just stopped talking. It's either he gonna say something pro-black or he wouldn't say nothing at all. And Ice Cube went through a time after Lethal Injection till about maybe a few months ago where he just wouldn't say much at all. You know what I mean? And what I mean by Nick Cannon, he was vocal while he was in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's splitting hairs. Ice Cube, Nick Cannon, they won in 1A. Yeah. When it comes to being, because you see Ice Cube now, since the COVID has hit, he's been going all the way.
It's messing his money up. They would probably got him out there. He said, "What the hell with it? My money getting messed up."
Yeah.
The movie came out, 303 basketball, all the stuff that's been messed up by 2020, man. It's just very frustrating. Even a broke person like me, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we starting to see our our black people develop a level of fuck it.
Yeah, I love it.
You know
Like you
what are
said.
some if we maintain this? What are some of you being the historian that you are? What are some of your
Hmm.
projections if we maintain this and increase this level of fuck it?
Well, it's time for something new. I mean, all this reforming is not a broken system; it's a break you system. It's a lot of contradictions. 'Cause how can you say the Supreme Court say that a corporation is a individual, but they don't pay taxes? But they'll audit my broke ass, but they won't audit Amazon or Netflix and General Electric. They don't have to pay no taxes, but they're people too. Or then this thing about, a trans woman being a real woman. No, it's not. Or he or whatever. It's not a real woman, okay? Whatever you call it, whatever you want to be, I don't care what you say, it's not a woman. Okay, let's stop it. Let's stop the madness. Like Charlize Theron, she should be arrested. Like
Yeah,
Epstein and Maxwell. What's she doing to that black boy? She's just as guilty as Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She should be in prison. I don't care what y'all say. I like it in too fast, too. I don't care. That's horrible what she's doing.
Charlize Theron. We talked about her recently. That's
Mm-hmm.
one stanky broad right there.
Yeah, horrible.
And what she's doing with that child is she's literally turning the boy into a girl.
Yeah.
And people are applauding her for that. And that right there, that's buck breaking. That's how you buck break a person.
That's right.
That used to happen. I'm gonna pull up a picture right here.
Mm-hmm.
This shit used to happen to us on a slave plantation. This is why I got a problem with that. Look at this. This is a boy. This is a boy. And then you got this. You see, she got that racist little hair swipe right there. She got that Richard Spencer cut. When she ain't, watch out for that little swoop right there. She look like your average Karen. Charlize Theron, she looks like mayonnaise in a sloppy straw right here, doing this to this little black boy. And this is what they did to black people on plantations.
That's
when you
right.
go back and listen to them slave chronicles, Fountain Hughes I think Fountain Hughes is one of the man's name. They talk about it all the time. Yeah, they put us in dresses all the time.
That's right.
And now you see it, and people are co-signing this. That's
They
disgusting.
scared. The black folks, we a bunch of cowards right now. You know what? I also tell people, look at the movie Goodbye Uncle Tom, the director's cut. Please look at that movie Goodbye Uncle Tom. It's very disturbing. I saw it just once, and it talks about that. You ever seen that, brother? The one Goodbye Uncle Tom.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't see the
people need to
movie
look
though.
at that online.
What's
It
that
talks
again?
about all that. And not only does it talk about it, shows it. And it's based on primary resources. It talk about J. Marion Sims, the father of gynecology, what he was doing to
Go
black
back to the
women.
name of the book because you got cut out when you said the name of it.
It's the movie. It's a movie called Goodbye Uncle Tom that was
Oh,
produced back in the 70s.
okay. No, I did not see that.
Yeah, go online. The director's cut. And basically, it talks about it's like it's modern film crew goes back in time to cover antebellum slavery in the American South, well, in America in the whole, and it's based on primary resources from newspapers and people personal journals and stuff like that. And it shows the horrible ordeal we went through as a people. It talks about the sex farms. It shows the sex farms, like the buck going around screwing everybody. The origins of the word mf'er. You had black men screwing their moms and sisters and
Wow.
aunts to produce babies, slave babies. You had like you talk about the dresses. You had even serial killers down in New Orleans and places like that, killing all these black slaves and experimenting on them. J. Marion Sims, the father of gynecology, what he was doing to black women wombs would make Joseph Mengele blush. You know what I'm saying? In terms of what he did to
Wow.
black women. And he's the father of gynecology. They recently took down his statue in Central Park. I think he's buried in Brooklyn. I think they put the statue in Brooklyn, in that cemetery where he's buried. But this man is the father of gynecology. Look what he did with black women on anesthesia. Read
And
about
he
it.
was like molested, and he was like doing all kinds of weird
Yeah.
experimentation on women.
And you got to talk about the Jewish part in slavery. They played a big part in the Confederacy. They own land, they own slaves. They was like, people don't want that. You go to Charleston, where 40% of the black folks that came from Africa came through Charleston over here. 40% of them, and then you got the Jewish Historical Society in Charleston that talks about how they profited from slavery. These are Jewish folks snitching on themselves, like Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah. And and going into that, Christopher Columbus, by all accounts, according to
Uh
biography.com, not dwannbrown, was a
huh.
what? A Jew. And they
A
based
Jew.
it based off of his writings
That's
and
right.
and the language that he spoke when he spoke to his children, to his son back, and but he couldn't tell Isabella and Ferdinand that he was a Jew because the Jews were being persecuted at the same time during the Spanish Inquisition. But they've always sort
That's
of
right.
played this little hopscotch when it comes to persecution slash persecutor,
That's
and it's
right.
always sort of been back and forth. And when we look at it and go deeper, um, when you look at the NAACP, they say, well, the Jewish community helped the black people out. You
Hmm.
got to realize the Jewish community, the white supremacists hate them too. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, just like the gay community, just like the immigrant community, just like the women's rights movements, they came and used the black people who had the legitimate gripe and said, we're going to do this together and get these civil rights. And then once we get these civil rights, they go on and move on and be who they are and leave us to where we are, back where we are. Black people have always been victims of the Supreme Court, but it's like a
That's
bunch of
right.
Jews on the Supreme Court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm not here to persecute them as a group. I mean, hell, my business mentor is Jewish, Ashkenazi. I mean, Hasidic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I ain't got no issue with people who like telling the truth, but at the same time, black people, it's time that we tell our truth. And if
That's
it
right.
gets in somebody else's way, that's their problem because they shouldn't have gotten our way. If our truth means getting in someone else's way, it's because they jumped in our way. Black
Mm.
society has never needed anything from outside of black society, but other societies have always
That's
come
right.
to us and taken what we've had. So if I'm stepping on your feet, it's because you put your shoe out there. Move your fucking foot.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought up the women's movement. 'Cause I want everybody to get a chance right now. After you look at this show, go to PBS and watch the vote about the women suffrage movement of the 19th and 20th century. And what you talking about, these are the origins of the so-called Karens we talk about today. They came out the women's the right to vote movement. These were the real Karens, where they were opportunists, where they took advantage of black suffering to get suffrage done. Like, one of the most prominent supporters of women's rights was Frederick Douglass. He was the first prominent man to support them. But at the end of his life, they told him he could not go to a women's rights convention in Atlanta because it might offend the Southern white women. At this time, Frederick Douglass was married to a white woman that was about the same age as his daughter.
See?
And Susan B. Anthony told him that.
See? What does Susan B. Anthony tell Freddie Douglass about the women's suffrage? And what is you? I know you know the line.
Well, I don't know, but I know you getting that. But basically, if it came down to the woman or black man getting the vote, the women should get the vote. White women should get the vote. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh huh.
they use our pain, like the black soul. They thought, oh, we could have these U.S. color troops fight for us, and then we could use them as the platform to get our right to vote. See, what people gotta understand, when white feminist versus a black feminist, a white woman don't want to turn down her man. A white feminist don't want to turn. She just want the respect from her man. These so-called black feminists want to destroy black men. But the white feminists say, no, I want respect. Can you just please give us a seat at the table?
Let's tell the truth. The white women were in on a heist. They just
Yeah,
mad that they cut, and they
yeah,
leverage off black women to get a higher cut off the heist. They
that's right.
ain't saying let's stop heisting and fleecing these niggas.
Mm-mm.
All they saying is I want a 50-50 split, not
Exactly.
90-10.
Thank you. In 2016, right? All them black women vote for Hillary. What the white women do?
Vote for
Voted for their
Trump.
man. Race first.
Race
Race first.
first.
White folks first.
And that's where we as a people have to wisen up. You know what I mean? That's where
Mm-hmm.
we got to get smart because we got to stop letting all these other outside groups use us for their agendas and then
That's
pushing
right.
on. And black people have the misconception that it's not about hate, it's about hate. It's about being politically wise and
That's right.
politically savvy. You have
Mm-hmm.
allies and you have friends. We don't have any friends. You can get an ally. We don't even have any allies right now.
Right.
You know what I
No, we
mean?
don't.
Not genuine allies. Now we got
Mm-mm.
people who got cabin fever from the COVIDs out there in the streets busting up windows. But
That's
when we
right.
come to reparations, they ain't got shit to say about it. So we're gonna get back to Nick Cannon, but since I brought up reparations, I want to bring up that what we were talking about a little bit earlier when we were on the phone, and that's that situation down there in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
I want to break that down, then we're gonna talk about it because I want to
Mm-hmm.
expose this for the trick bag that it is.
Right.
City Council in Asheville, North Carolina, unanimously approves reparations plan. City will make investments in areas where black residents face disparities. They didn't say black people. They didn't say we don't get the money to black people. Areas where black residents face disparities. I've never been to Asheville, North Carolina, but I have been through other parts of the country. I know that the most of the country, most black areas are under gentrification. So I just want to put that out there. When they say whenever you hear this trick bad language, black areas. All right, I'm gonna read this through this article, then we're gonna talk about it. All right. Leaders in Asheville, North Carolina, have taken a historic step to repair centuries of racial prejudice by unanimously voting to provide reparations. Okay. 7-0 resolution. The measure calls for a plan to provide reparations to its black residents in the form of investments in their community, such as, here we go. I'm about to highlight this for y'all. Here we go. Here go the highlight. Increasing minority home ownership. If we know anything about the Moynihan report, if we know anything about Nixon, if we know anything about the benign neglect policy, we know that minority basically means not white male, but not necessarily black either. Every other is a minority. So already we're talking about increasing ownership for people that may be moving into the area from outside the area, because it's going to talk about minorities. Handicapped people or transsexuals are included in minority. Remember that. Increasing minority business ownership and career opportunities. Increasing minority business ownership and career opportunities. So again, yes, will some black people benefit right away? Of course. Just like black people benefited right away in the 60s when it came to civil rights. But you fast forward a couple decades, can you name black people anywhere in this nation benefiting from civil rights more than our immigrant brothers and sisters? I'll let you answer that question so I don't sound like I'm being mean.
Nah. Well, you know the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action is who? White women.
White
and women. I don't even
women.
consider them minorities really. They, like you said, they part of the damn hustle.
Here's the hustle. When Title IX, Claude Anderson teaches us Title IX was part of the minority benefits. And Title IX is what got women's sports, how it became a thing. When states got their civil rights money in 1971, they had the option to this: do you give the money to black people, or do you open up handicapped parking spaces? And they said, or do you open up sports for women? So instead of giving the money to black people, they said, okay, women haven't had equal access to sports. So we're going to create women's sports in WNBA, all this, Tennessee Volunteers basketball, and they all had to thank civil rights legislation for putting money behind women's sports. WNBA, all these volleyball, tennis, they all had to thank Title IX, which was money that was set aside for black people. That state said, you know what? We're not going to give it to the Negroes. We're going to give it to the white women. Back to here, but then I'm going to get your opinions on this, your breakdown, Ronald. You see here, when you look at this thing, and I encourage you guys to go and I'll read it. This is from abcnews.com. You see the old Democratic benign neglect plan of, okay, we're going to start off talking about black people, but then when you get into the details, the benefits are basically going to go to everybody but black. Do you think we as a people are gonna catch up to that game, Ron? Or what do you see coming out of this, man?
I think we're being forced to. Like we talking about this COVID-19 is forcing us to innovate in terms of how we get messages out to the people, how we utilize our communication platforms. This is forcing black folks into a corner where we're gonna have to fight back or just die. Is either fight or die. You know what I'm saying? At this point, because we're being basically eliminated from discussion in terms of being people that are owed something. And a lot of us don't know that we owe something. I'll tell people Donald Trump being in the White House is a blessing because it's teaching folks to research Black history. It's teaching our folks to look up the history of this country. A lot of Black folks didn't know about no Juneteenth or no dang Tulsa. They didn't know about that, until Donald Trump and them started talking about till the Watchmen thing came out on HBO that opened up with the Black Wall Street genocide and stuff like that. We're just to be what did James Baldwin say? To be a Negro in America is to be in a constant rage.
Yeah, to be
I'm
an
a,
awake Negro, yeah.
yeah, I'm an angry black man. It's not that I angry where I want to kill myself or selfish. I'm angry because if you're not angry, then how you gonna do anything about your anger? How you gonna do anything if you don't have that type of passion? Say I'm tired of being sick and tired. Like that something's off, but how do you articulate it? How do you discern it? But the thing about it is, everybody eat off Black folks' pain. Everybody but Black people. This country built off Black folks' pain. You got folks that coming up. They folks came out for Ellis Allen around 1900s. They changed their names. They could change their religion, but once you born Black here, you just Black. You the scorched part of the pan. You can't get beyond that. Look, slavery ain't that long ago. You got two living grandsons of the 10th president of the United States still alive, John Tyler. That's the 10th president of the United States, born in 1790. He still got two living grandsons. I ain't say no great greats, grandsons walking around. My great grandfather, my father's mother, he was born into slavery. That's my great grandfather.
When you look at it,
and it's 2020.
1971 was when the last living slave died. That was also the same year my dad graduated high school.
There you go. Say that far away in it.
So it's not that far back. You had a Civil War. That chick that just died this past May, she was still receiving a Civil War pension.
Yeah, father fought on both sides of the war. He fought on the Confederate and the Union side. Most triplet. Yeah.
So that's got passed down. And when it comes to reparations, this is what I like to say that people don't like to think about. When it comes to the fight between Black and white in America, this is a family affair.
That's right.
If you came anytime Ellis Island on, you can sit down and shut the fuck up. All right? As Black people, we don't need to argue with these people. That's one thing I want our people to understand.
Yeah,
look,
that's right.
I got a degree in communication studies, man. I was on a debate team at Cal State Northridge. I know how to argue a motherfucker down. All right?
Yes, sir.
But you need to know who's worth the argument. As Black people, we are an exceptional people, like Dr. Carl Anderson says. We are the foundation of this nation. So we here. We don't need to argue with the minions. These people are hateful. No matter what you say, they're not gonna listen to your Black ass anyway. So why are you arguing with these people? They don't. In court, you have to, like judge tell you, you have to have something called standing to be a credible witness. These people don't have standing. You came after 1880 when they created whites only unions. That was affirmative action for white people. So you guys can get jobs because we were the master masons, we were the master craftsmen, we were the master engineers. People always want to lower, and I appreciate the labor we put in. But people want to keep it just at labor. It wasn't just labor. It was our ingenuity. It was our mind. It was Benjamin Banneker. It was, you know what I mean? It was Thomas Jennings. It was Ed Granville T. Woods. It was our minds.
That's right.
And on top of that, and I'm gonna get to you because I'm talking to like I want to hear what you got to say. Not only was it our minds and our genius, again, this is a family affair. It was a story that just came out a couple weeks ago, and I talked about it on my show 2 weeks ago about Thomas Jefferson's son, ninth generation grandson. Look just like the motherfucker. You know what I mean? You got Bill Clinton got a son running around here. You got we all know about George Washington and his black kids that he had. And let's go away from the presidents. Let's go to Black society. Every Black person that's foundational Black or ADOS, whatever you want to call it, born here and who can trace their roots back to slavery, they can go back and find a granddaddy somewhere far back that's white.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's why we say we need reparations. The white side of the family got that money. The black side didn't.
Mm-hmm.
The black people who own land and tried to pass that land down to their kids, people got so many stories of black landowners getting murdered because they were black landowners.
Oh my God.
And then that land getting taken and them not being able to pass that land down to their children and grandchildren. So that's what we mean what I mean when I say this reparations talk is a family affair. And anyone who came after Ellis Island can sit down and shut the fuck up and listen. What you got to say about that, Ronald? Oh, did you freeze? Did we freeze you? God damn.
Yeah,
There you are.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you said about that. It's so much, man. I love talking to you and hearing you speak actually because it's so many things that come to my mind, like just pop off. And I want to talk about Lewis Latimer. Excuse me, Lewis Latimer. Folks were slaves, right? He designed the first phone for Alexander Graham Bell and put the filament in the light bulb for Thomas Edison. Black genius, right? You talk about land being stolen. Now, you think about Asheville, North Carolina. What about Wilmington, North Carolina? You know what happened in Wilmington back in 1898, right?
Mm-hmm.
The insurrection.
Tell them.
Oh, like they overthrew in 1898. The out of power Democrats overthrew a fusion government ran by black and whites in Wilmington, North Carolina. And Wilmington, North Carolina at the time was the fastest and largest city, the fastest growing and the largest city in North Carolina. Not Charlotte, but it was Wilmington. Now, this is the birthplace of David Walker, who wrote The Appeal, who ended up dead under mysterious circumstances right thereafter. Also, this is where Michael Jordan was raised. This gives you some idea about what Wilmington's about. So they actually overthrew the black and whites out the government. They killed a whole bunch of black folks. They seized black folks' property, businesses, and land. So the state of North Carolina did an exhaustive 6-year study, I believe, back in 1998, and it ended on 2004. I believe Dr. John Hope Franklin Sr. was involved in that, who also survived Black Wall Street. His family was put in concentration camps in the aftermath of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So he was a part of that committee. So you got generational wealth that was stolen. You got lands that were stolen from black people. So, around the early 1900s, black folks owned about 15 million acres of land. And it dwindled down all the way by the end of the century to about 2.3 million acres of land. And land is how you build wealth. Ownership in the society is how you build wealth. So also, I'm in Memphis, right? I wake up every day right across the street where they shot Dr. King and where the Memphis race massacre started by the police. They killed all these black folks, burned out all the churches and schools in Memphis that led to the Reconstruction era. That one event led them in Congress to pass the Reconstruction era, the act. But right across the river, over in Arkansas, is a brother was named Isidore Banks. This is a World War I veteran, a brother that was originally from Georgia but made his home in Marion, Arkansas, in Crittenden County. This guy was a philanthropist. He was a bigger than life guy. He was over 6 feet tall, over 300 pounds, very fair skinned, had red hair, looked like you could tell one of his folks was white back in the day. But he was a proud black man. He brought electricity to the county. This man at the time his death owned maybe 2,000 acres of land. This is back in the 50s. And the sheriff named Sheriff Goodwin, he started taking the land because the majority of the people that lived in Marion were black and they owned a lot of land in Arkansas. And this mayor started taking the land because he was not only the sheriff, but he was also the tax collector. So people would be delinquent on their taxes because he wouldn't take their taxes, but he would take their land. So Isidore Banks wasn't going. He was gangster about his. Sometimes he'll get in the shootout with these crackers over there in Crittenden County. And then, he taught folks how to use guns. He was like a proud black man. And what they did was he created his own cotton gin. He had a black-owned cotton gin. See, a lot of us into that Queen Sugar crap on own. This is the real Queen Sugar, where the brother created his own cotton gin for black cotton growers to use. And it was valued in today's money. It'll be valued by $5 million, that cotton gin. And white folks wanted a part of it. So now we said, we got to have this black owned. We can't have these crackers coming in on this. This is ours. So what they did was, one night in June of 54, they kidnapped him and tortured him. From my understanding, they castrated the brother and set him on fire. They tortured him and set him on fire to a tree. This guy was over 300 pounds and over 6 feet tall. You look at the picture of him, it was just like a shadow of himself, just ashes to ashes and dust to dust. So his family was ran out the state. He actually put his 4-year-old daughter on a car going to St. Louis. He had, he was a womanizer. I mean, he had women all over the place, but he put a lot of his family out of the state. And when his daughter went to pay, his eldest daughter, I believe, went to pay the taxes on the land that he owned, she found out that he didn't own the land no more. This man had like $93,000 in the bank, and it disappeared too. I mean, 93 in today's money be more than that, but 93,000 in 1954 was a lot of money. So his family, that's land. And then what's crazy is that the sheriff's widow died maybe like in the last 20 some years. She left $7 million to the church, the local church. And then, I mean, where did he get this money from? All this land. He got it from Isidore Banks and the other black people that lived in that county. So you got stories like that. That's right across the bridge from me. And you got Lane, Arkansas, where they killed about 1,000 black folks back in 1919. Because you had black sharecroppers trying to unionize, and the white folks didn't want that. So I live all around. I'm not that far away from when they killed Emmett Till, man. I'm just an hour or something away down Highway 61 or 55, whatever. But Emmett Till got killed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in a very powerful part of the country where all this stuff still resonates. And that's very traumatic for people. I knew about Emmett Till when I was in elementary school because my folks from Mississippi, they talked about Emmett Till. I knew about Fort Pillow, Nathan Bedford Forrest, because my grandma had a World Book Black History Encyclopedia from the 70s. And I used to read that thing for hours. So I knew about Paul Robeson, Burt Williams, Langston Hughes, the Fort Pillow Massacre. I didn't learn this in no school. I learned it at home. See, that's the problem. A lot of us think that school is supposed to teach you about who you are. School teach you how to be indoctrinated into a system, how to navigate the system through reading, writing, and arithmetic. But who you are comes from your people. And if your people don't know who they are, they can't do nothing for you, man. You lost in life because that's your foundation. Who you are. Schools aren't supposed to teach you that. And that's another good thing about this COVID-19. It's forcing parents to teach their kids about them, to learn. The kids observe you more, and you need to be teaching them something. Stop complaining about I don't have enough time for me. It's about you investing in other people. It's about you leaving a living legacy. Bobby Dick Gregory barely turned down any interviews because he knew he was leaving a legacy, a living legacy for everybody. Because a lot of times your kids ain't gonna be the one that's gonna carry out your legacy. Think about music. Think about musicians. Like think about Dizzy Gillespie. Think about a lot of these guys didn't have kids, or they had kids they didn't claim. But the people they taught though, like Quincy Jones would not have made it without those cats, man. It was a different time. Quincy Jones made it off the back of those guys.
Yeah.
Because the Jim Crow bullshit. And they couldn't be a part of all the white musician unions. So you had places in Pittsburgh where they had a black musician union where them cats would be overnight teaching young cats and stuff how to do this thing. So Quincy grew up with the Ray Charleses and the Charlie Parkers and Dizzy Gillespie, all them guys, man.
They called it schooling.
That's right.
And that's
Art Blakey, all them guys, man.
And that's something about black society that I love that gets misinterpreted by those that are outside of black American society. Even blacks across the diaspora, when they come here, they don't get it. With black Americans, we gonna talk shit and clown you first, then we gonna reach out and help you and fix you a sandwich. How schooling worked was,
we are, man. We gotta get back to that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for going all over the place, Dewall. You got me all passionate.
I'm gonna get back to something you said earlier. I'm gonna come back to what you said earlier about the plan. The commission that was done down in Wilmington. Let's go back to that. But before I go back to that point, I just wanted to tell you about schooling. Schooling, you the new hot piano player, horn player, whatever on the scene. You come in like a little young buck did, like we all did when we were 17, 18, thinking we the shit. Right. You come down, sit down at the piano, and then one of the old OGs see it, and they like, nah. So what they would do is they would literally knock you off the piano or the horn or whatever you were playing, and the OG would come and just work your ass and talk shit while he doing it. You young motherfucker, you thought you was the shit, you mother. They wore suits, but they was still a whole bunch of drunk niggas back then too. People want to act like they still wasn't black. School them on an instrument, and then after you embarrass them in front of everybody, then you take them under your wing and teach them and mentor them. And that's hell. Miles Davis got schooled by Charlie Parker. That's what made Miles Davis realize, hey, look, I can't do this bebop jazz. It made Miles go and discover the birth of the cool.
That's right.
And then we got Bitches Brew, which turned into what we call today fusion jazz.
That's right.
Sometimes getting school puts you where you need to be.
Now we get we call participation trophies now. Nobody can get their feelings hurt no more.
They can't do that no more. But going back to what you were saying earlier about Wilmington, I want to make a point. Because of what's going on right now with these reparations plans. We see California has a similar reparations plan. where California is talking about a study. What happened after that Wilmington study? Did anybody get any money?
Not to my knowledge, it was like what 2004 or whatever, and then nothing came of it.
So that's
Just
the
like
point.
Los Angeles, why you gotta do a study when most of the land was owned by black people, right?
And
Even
that's the
Pico was
point.
a black Mexican.
Yeah, and that's the point I want to make to people listening. When you hear the government, and the people who run this place talking about doing a study, that's their way of saying, okay, we basically gonna admit that we did some messed up shit,
right?
But we're not gonna do nothing about it. So when you hear about these HR 40s and these California talking about a bill to study, all that means is we want to pacify you and hope that you go long enough and forget about it, then we can keep pushing. That's all the study ever means. When it was came time for this country to give money due to COVID, they didn't study a damn thing. They passed funding. So we need to remember that as a people.
Well, never forget.
Yeah, but going out up out of that, going back to Nick Cannon and what's going on with him over here in Hollywood. One thing I like about him so far is he hasn't apologized.
And he shouldn't. What he got to apologize for? He already been punished financially.
Talk to
and
me,
career wise.
I want you to talk a little bit about that. You know, this history of black people apologizing for stuff. What's your thoughts on that?
It means nothing. I mean, it's like, what Joe Kennedy once said, it ain't a crime unless you get caught. That's the patriarch of the Kennedy family. It's only a crime. You only feel sorry about getting caught. You're not sorry that you commit the crime. Not saying what Nick Kennedy did was a crime, but it's a crime that we forget about people like Paul Robeson, who was crucified for doing some of this, not only saying things, but doing things. This is Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was a great entertainer, one of the greatest singers of all time, but was a committed activist. He was a hell of an athlete too. I mean, he was one of the first black All-American football players, was a lawyer, all this stuff, but he put everything on the line for black people. And Malcolm learned how to do public speaking by studying Paul Robeson interviewing on the radio and his songs and whatnot. So Malcolm X learned how to do public speaking by doing that. So that's who Paul Robeson was. Paul Robeson wanted to charge the United States of America for genocide against black people back in the early 50s. He came up with this term called menticide. Paul Robeson and William Patterson. So they wanted to bring them charges up. Like I said, Malcolm learned from Paul.
I didn't know Paul Robeson came up with that term.
Well, he helped come up with it with William Patterson, menticide. So they wanted to charge the United States on human rights violations against black folks back in the early 50s. And I said Paul Robeson was a hero to Malcolm X. Malcolm learned how to do public speaking by studying the speaking of Paul Robeson, even when he was in prison. So and Paul Robeson, one of the tallest trees in our forest, like Mary McLeod Bethune once said. He's one of the tallest trees. This man could speak like over 10 plus different languages fluently. Man was a man. He was Harry Belafonte's Jegna and all those people. All them guys can't compare to Paul Robeson.
My thing is, whenever they don't talk about somebody, you got to look close at them. Like they don't talk about Garvey.
No,
they don't talk about Elijah Muhammad.
No, they don't.
They don't talk about Paul Robeson. They try their best not to talk about Dick Gregory.
Yeah.
They don't talk about, and when you look at today, they don't talk about a lot of the people out there who are really out there doing it. They want to give us these cut and bought and paid for clean cut, crisp Negroes like a Mark Lamont Hill. Mark Lamont Hill. I'm just waiting on what he got to say about Nick Cannon. It's coming.
What he said about Palestine. I mean, he just it's the thing, Dr. John Henry Clark talked about Malcolm. That was a good friend of his, right? He talked about how he met with somebody from religion or Orthodox Islam. They want him to be the spokesperson in North America for their brand of Islam. They offered Malcolm X almost $3 million to do it, and he turned them down flat.
Oh wow!
And what do you do with people that can't be bought?
You can't do nothing
if they're in your way.
Yeah, and so I said we seeing that with Nick Cannon, and we seeing them trying to come down on him for saying what he said, which, like you said, we went through the article. Even the articles accusing him can't tell you exactly what he said. So I think just as a people, that's something that we need to watch out for. We need to always be aware of. We need to
Yeah.
always be aware of, when they're throwing just a bunch of words out there, but not backing it with anything.
Yeah.
Um,
But you think about Bill Cosby, though. I want to bring it back to Bill Cosby. Even I mean, Bill Cosby did a lot for black people, for humanity, whatever his personal shortcomings were. I ain't gonna never forget the fact when I was in college, when they was killing a whole bunch of black folks through police brutality up in Cincinnati, Ohio, that Bill Cosby said, "I'm not doing any concerts or anything in Cincinnati until they stop killing black people."
mm-hmm.
He was the only, he was the first one to do that. He pulled all his gigs off, and this before the pound cake speech. So if you're gonna bring up the pound cake speech from 2004, go back to 2000 and 2001 when Bill Cosby had a one-man economic boycott against Cincinnati. Balance it out.
Yeah, balance it out. And that's the thing, like with Bill Cosby, you see what's going on right now with his appeal. And I encourage you guys to listen to Ronald's interviews with Judge Joe Brown, because Judge Joe Brown breaks down what's going on with these appeals. We're seeing in the appeal they did so many illegal things to even get him to trial. Forget the illegal things he did once they got to trial, but the illegal things that they did to even get him to trial. That should concern every American citizen, that this government that we elect, judges that we elect, are willing to break the law to put someone behind bars for giving somebody a Benadryl. But these same places will let a cop murder somebody and keep him on the force.
You know what was said? I'm thinking black folks waking up now because we thought it was okay for him to go to jail just because. It's wrong for anybody to get their rights violated like he got his rights violated. It kind of reminds me of Ida B. Wells when she thought that they were lynching black folks because they did something wrong. They surely did something wrong. That's why they got lynched, until her best friend, who was a black business owner in Memphis, got lynched in the People's Grocery lynchings. Said, no, this guy was a black leader. I was the godmother to his goddaughter. He had a baby on the way. Why would they kill my friend Thomas Moss? See, it wasn't about, majority of the people that got lynched were business people. Majority of black folks got lynched were business people, or they was involved in the political arena. Not just no lowly thief or criminal. But my thing is, even with these respectability politics now, you got people talking about, well, what about black on black crime? You kill where you live. It's part of the program. Well, what about, like, you got these Terry Crewisms going on. You can't protect your balls. You talking about protecting the black community? All them muscles, that's a waste.
The same people that say, what about black on black crime, ain't forgave their auntie for the $20 they loaned them 3 years ago.
Exactly. That's the point. Yes, sir.
That's right. The people who say, what about black on black crime, y'all the same people that will let your coworker or your boss talk crazy to you, but then you'll not talk to a friend for 20 years for telling you the truth about yourself.
That's right. There you go.
So
I
can't jive with these what about black on black crime people, because it's just, look, we in America, the United States of America, the fact that it exists is a crime.
Yeah.
So everything
one of the biggest crimes in history, right?
Yeah, and this place commits crime to maintain its position in the world.
That's right.
So anything that happens after the leadership of this nation does something is only a response. It's something I heard. I remember Dick Gregory used to always say, and I remember I saw this on a nature program. It made me think about Dick Gregory because I was watching one of those Discover nature programs, and they're saying the same thing. Crabs in the wild stack up on top of one another to get the food.
That's right.
And then once the crab on top gets it, he goes to the bottom, helps the rest get to the top. But when he gets in a bucket, he's reaching up. And he's not necessarily reaching up to knock you down. He kind of see your leg and he reaching up to grab it, which is ultimately pulls you down.
That's right.
And so we got to rethink these things. We over here talking about the crabs instead of asking who put them in the bucket.
That's right. That's
and
right.
So
there you go.
The hood, the ghetto is the bucket. It's a false. Ghettos shouldn't exist. Ghettos are created environments. White people, when they left the ghettos, the Anglos, before they were accepted as white, when they were ethnic minorities in the early part of the century, they lived in what? Ghettos.
That's right.
That's where you get all them Bonnie and Clyde stories, all them Al Capone stories, all them film noir stories of people coming with Tommy guns and gangster movies comes from them when they were in ghettos. When people,
some years ago,
in
New York, the biggest criminals were Jewish. I mean, street criminals.
Yeah.
Like over 100 some years ago with the Jewish people.
It was because they were economically disenfranchised.
That's right.
So when you're economically disenfranchised, you create an underground economy to become economically sustainable and viable.
There you
Every
go.
group that's on top generally started doing some criminal shit.
Exactly.
So there are no clean hands here in the United States of America. What happened was those people got reclassified as white. They built up towns like Levittown, Pennsylvania, or if you're here in LA, the San Fernando Valley. They built these homes, and if you were classified as white, you can get these homes for like zero money down and less money than people were buying homes in the ghetto for, because black people had to get white people's old homes in the ghetto for more money than white people were buying brand new, fully furnished homes in suburban America. So it's nothing that they did. There was no spirituality that they gained.
That's right.
There was no righteousness that came about before they changed their economic position. The government literally just said, okay, you know what? We decided you're white now, you Irish, Anglos, and you Greeks and you Italians. You're white today. So now go get a house, 5 bedrooms, 4 baths in suburbia, fully furnished for $10,000. Meanwhile, your black grandparent, it was an article that got released just last week showing that black people in Chicago pay upwards of 83% more than houses were worth on their monthly payments. Like they said, black people were paying like upwards of like in today's money $500 a month more than they should have been paying because of the style loans that they were given in Chicago because the banks were redlining. The same banks that were redlining your black ass gave them money to get these cheap ass fully furnished houses for damn near zero interest. So that's what's going on in America when we talk about reparations. That's what's going on when we talk about economic disparities. And us living now in 2020, we're the children of that. Now, if you're white and your parents somehow fucked that off, you blame them, not the government. We didn't get that kind of leg up. We don't have nobody to blame because our grandparents were forced into the ghetto.
You told it, man. Did the Bush family live in Compton at one point?
Yeah, the Bushes lived in Compton for a while before it became black. Yeah, Compton was all white when the Bushes lived there. The Bushes lived there, then went ahead and that's another thing. I get tired of a Negro saying, "Oh man, you see all the black kids and the white kids playing together. The white kids listen to rap. Man, it's gonna be a better future." If I hear another Negro say that again, look, the people who oppressed your grandfather like Chuck Berry too.
Yep.
The people who oppressed your great grandmother like Scott Joplin too.
That's right. Tell it, man.
That's the reason why they imitated it and had to create an Elvis. They were guilty that they like Ike Turner. So they said, let's create an Elvis.
That's right.
This is an old game.
But who was breastfeeding these kids, though, these oppressors?
They black mama, the black nanny.
Black mammy, yeah.
Aunt Jemima.
So they already had the breast milk. Fuck the gangster rap. They had the breast milk for generations.
They had the breast milk. So know that no black people, music isn't going to solve this. Interracial sexual access isn't going to solve this. What's going to solve it is you getting off your ass and you being your own version of Nick Cannon. It shouldn't only be on Nick Cannon. You need to be Nick Cannon on your job. That's how I was. I'm not demanding nothing for extra. When I worked at my last job, I spoke up all the time. And if they had something to say, and I knew it was going to get to a point where they were going to have to either let me go or I was going to leave. So while I was doing that, I was always working on a plan to create my own company doing what's good for me. And that's what you have down here in the bottom left, right? Breakthrough Advocacy Services. Go to the website, breakthroughas.org. I mentor. I give tips and tricks to children and parents on how to communicate with one another. I do these things. These are skills that I learned in my previous job and I have experience in. So I created my own company and my own revenue stream, Rivers, because of it. Because I know that I can't.
That's right.
I can't look at injustice and shut the fuck up. I just can't do it. I won't be able to sleep. Before I got my last job helping with children, I was dead broke. I had gone 13 months without one single paycheck because I was working the mortgage. And then, the mortgage market crashed. I didn't get any. I did loans, but none of them funded. But over a year, I had 2 job offers. I could have worked the parole department, which paid me $72,000 a year, or I could have worked mental health, which was going back into the hood and helping my people, which started me at $36,000 a year. Which one do you think I took?
The latter, right?
I took $36,000 a year. I took half the money to help my people while I was broke. So I ain't some nigga that just running my mouth. I took less money, so I know what it is, and I'm happy I did it. And that's the kind of commitment it takes for us to be as a people. And everybody out there listening who admires what Nick Cannon did, you got to be the Nick Cannon of your own space.
But Nick Cannon, like he's a businessman, an entrepreneur, so he got some money though. He ain't gonna be hurting like a lot. I guess but he took a chance though. I mean, he took several chances. I mean, America Got Talent, all that stuff. So he came back.
With great money comes great expenses. One thing I realized
right.
when I used to work with the NBA cats, and I saw the money it is, we be thinking they got all this extra money. No, they don't. Look, no matter what you make, you're going to spend 99% of it. That's just most people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and on top of that, people like Nick Cannon, when you deal with your NBA people, Nick Cannon I don't want to compare to NBA people because he got way more money, but when you're dealing with your black people who do have money, they take care of a lot of people. So when they get fired, most of them is paying 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mortgages. So they still got a lot to lose. I'm not saying you got to be Malcolm X, but what I am saying is this: you have to stand for what's right and what's true, and people have to know not to fuck around us. The reason why people don't fuck around other groups is because they enforce it every individual. We have to, as a people, start enforcing that sovereignty in our spaces. I ain't saying go around and be like, okay, black power to the people, put up a red, black, and green flag. I ain't saying none of that shit.
Right.
But don't let them control your space in your environment. Don't let them send you. So many black people died young from heart disease and stress over these fucking jobs.
Yeah, you're right.
So we have to learn how to build these skills so we can one day lead these jobs. And while you're there, do like what you're doing right now, Brother Ron. You had a job, you know what I mean? You only have so much you can do there, but you get off work and you use your platform to push and better and grow black society. Everybody ain't going to have a YouTube page. Everybody's not going to be an author. But you can do that to the people within your immediate environment. And that's all I'm trying to say.
And you make a point. You live in what you're saying. You live in your religion. You being true to it. And I think that it's important that people figure out who they are. I think it is a blessing that I never had too much money, never made a lot of money, and I'm 40 now, and I still haven't sold out, as they say. I haven't sold myself. So they give me hope for the future that I can keep on fighting the good fight. As they say, the marathon continues. But I gotta ask you this about the INFAC. I'm talking about the militia. You talk about sovereignty. And what's your take on them, or what black folks defend themselves or having militias in general?
Oh, you mean like the NAFC, the not fucking around?
It's like everybody got something to say about it, pros and cons.
I like it. We need more of it because one thing about us, black people, we the only people that think that we can build some shit and ain't nobody gonna take it.
We live in shows that all the time, right? They always come and take it.
Look, white people take each other's shit. If they could do yours and not get caught, you think they not? I'm gonna tell you a story I had on an Uber drive, and then I'm gonna answer your question. And this story sort of encapsulated the white liberal here in California. I'm driving these two white men through Manhattan Beach. And if you know Manhattan Beach is very swanky, white, liberal. You can't even smoke cigarettes outside because it's against the ordinance. You know what I mean? The most professional athletes in the world per capita live in Manhattan Beach. Like people on the Russian volleyball team live in Manhattan Beach. You know what I mean? It's just one of those areas. Also, Manhattan Beach also has a place, was a place that 1925 had black residents and basically kicked all the black residents out because they were black. Manhattan Beach used to be a black town, and it's no longer a black town because black people were kicked out of Manhattan Beach for the color that they were. But I'll say Manhattan Beach is a very swanky, very liberal, racist part of America, part of the United States. I had these two Uber passengers in my back seat, and one of them said this. They were talking about a friend of theirs
Mm-hmm.
who owned this really, really nice property in Manhattan Beach. Manhattan Beach doesn't have too many huge properties. They were kind of small, but they're near the beach. It's right there. They don't have too many large lots of land. Well, there's this one friend of theirs that has a very, very, very large lot of land. Nice big size of chunk of land.
Mm-hmm.
And and this is what they were saying about the residents of Manhattan Beach. They said, Josh, do you think if people in the city knew how much he had behind those gates, they would tolerate it? And then his friend said, and this is a true story, his friend answered, no, not these Manhattan Beach people. He said, if people in Manhattan Beach knew what was behind those gates, they would all organize politically and get him out that house and divide that land up overnight.
Mm.
That's how white liberals think. See, people always think it's just the Confederate racists that's in your face. They good. Y'all down Memphis, y'all see them coming. Mm-hmm. Here in California, they go behind your back and then smile in your face and then plot behind your back to take the land. That's how they do other white people who have more than them.
Mm.
So to answer your question, and for those who want to know, it was called Bruce's Beach. That was the beach in Manhattan Beach that black people had that we were kicked out of. With that being said, these are the people. So you know what? Whenever you build something, you need to build a way to protect it. Everything has a military.
Yeah.
Look at their business. Every business, right-run business, you'll see a random brick building on the corner, not know what it is, but it's still two security guards standing out front.
Mm-hmm.
If white folks know to protect their shit from other white people, black people got to learn.
Right.
After we build it, we have to protect it. When you read the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, one of the lessons that he talks about when it comes to acquiring and building wealth, once that wealth is built, you build the walls to protect it. As you build your wealth, you build your walls to protect it. Because it's a guarantee that other civilizations, other societies, other people are going to take your shit. They've been taking our shit for 3,500 years. If you read Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams.
That's right.
They've been taking our shit. They've been taking our shit. So at some point, we got to stop crying about them taking our shit and fight the fuck back. I know we fought Black and Black Wall Street, but it wasn't a sustained effort. We have to take our military as serious as we take our empowerment. Because there is no empowerment, there is no peace without the ability to enforce the peace. Peace is enforced.
Yeah.
So when it comes to militias like that, that's what we need. We need some that are out there in the open like them.
Mm-hmm.
And we also need the ones that just...
That's right.
Because the real black militia is here. It's in our minds. Every black individual has to take it upon themselves to be the militia. That don't mean everybody gonna go around with red, black, and green berets on and AK-47s on their back. But it does mean if you're in a state that's legal to carry, you carry. It does mean getting your firearms so you can at least protect your home. Get a shotgun, get a pistol. You know what I mean? We have to all take on a mindset. When you look at Israel, the reason why Israel still maintains, every citizen is a part of the military. Everyone's fired an AK-47 by the time they're 12. You know what I mean? They know how does white supremacy work? They don't wait on no government to protect them. What are these Karens are? These Karens and Kens are white supremacists taking it upon themselves to defend the structure of white supremacy.
Right.
Black people who empower ourselves, we have to take it upon ourselves to build the structures and whatever it is in place to protect whatever we build. Because I hear so many black people saying, if we just build it again, they just gonna take it. You sound like a little hoe when you say that. They ain't stronger than us. Look what's been happening with these riots. When they do face us one-on-one, they been getting their asses tossed. Black people been beating the shit out these white people from pillar to post You saw Bow and Arrow Man. You
Oh
saw
yeah.
Sword Man. You saw the man in Manhattan Beach. Every time these ain't nobody.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, this here's the thing, and I'm gonna get to you before.
No, this fine. You go. I'm enjoying this.
Here's
You
the
read my mind
thing,
about Israel. That's what I'm saying. Go
Israel.
ahead.
Yeah, here's the thing. When it comes to black society, when it comes to black empowerment, we have to treat other groups the way we treat ourselves. We don't let other black people fuck with us.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't let them fuck with us. We don't let other black people steal from us.
That's
So
right.
we can't let them steal from us. We already got these principles. We already practice these principles. We just practice them on one another. We got to start practicing them on ourselves, with ourselves, and black empowerment got to be the thing that we stand on, because we can guarantee they're gonna try to take our shit. We got the flyest shit. Why wouldn't they try to take it? They can't create it.
That's right.
They can't do it. They can't create the blues.
Mm-hmm.
They can't create hip hop. Hell, the main bridge is still standing down south was designed and created by black people in our minds. They can't. They gonna take our shit. You can guarantee it. You can guarantee they gonna take your shit or try to.
Yeah.
But we gotta remember this: black people, when it comes to fighting back, they don't beat us because they're better fighters. There's a series of laws throughout the 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s saying you black person, you can't fight back if a white person decides to violate you.
That's
So
right.
back then, we've had it bred in us over a few hundred years. If a white person violates us, we got a choice. Do we whoop their ass and never see them again? Or do we take this ass whooping and go back home to our families? And that's the unfortunate choice for hundreds of years our ancestors had to make.
That's
But
right.
look, goddamn it, them days is over with. Them choices don't exist no more. We gotta fight back. They didn't fight.
Yeah.
They didn't beat us because they better fighters. They beat us because they had a law on their side. But we got cameras now, and we know how to work the law. So it's time for us to take that shit up upon ourselves and be our own in a not fucking around coalition.
That's
What
right.
you got to say about that?
I think you're right on, man. Right on time. I was thinking about that. This Sunday will mark the 101st anniversary of the Washington Race Massacre. And people don't talk about that. I want people to Google this up because I think it's fascinating, because you had a situation where a black man was accused of sexually assaulting a white lady who was married to a guy who was in the Navy. So you had white men in DC going around. You had white men in their Marine, Navy, and Army uniforms going around terrorizing black folks, any black person they could find. I don't care if you was a woman, child, or an elderly person. They'll go around beating up and killing black folks in their uniforms. This happened 101 years ago. This coming Sunday. But what I love about this was the fact that the reason why you don't hear about this talked about, this is the red summer of 1919, is because this is the time where black folks will start, like you said, whooping people's asses. You had school teachers, I mean, women and men going to the gun shops, buying all the ammunition and guns. These black men and women, you had black folks doing drive-bys on these crackers in DC proper. Woodrow Wilson, we ain't stopped when all these black folks were getting slaughtered and stuff until the black folks start fighting back. This is when he calmed down things. You had Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black History and Negro History Week. He had to hide because he saw a black man being lynched in D.C. So he hid and for his life
Oh
during this
yeah.
time. Yeah. So y'all gotta look this up because you black folks start fighting back because they're killing black folks in uniforms coming home. You had Thurgood Marshall's mentor, Jegna Charles Hamilton Houston, the future dean of Howard Law School, the architect of Brown v. Board. He was almost lynched in France as a lieutenant in full uniform because the French girls preferred the soldiers with the monkey tails. They didn't want the
Wow.
doughboys. The doughboys was going to American white doughboys were going to lynch him in his uniform. So that's when he made a vow. So I'm gonna fight for black people that can't fight back through the legal system. So you had black folks getting it, but these black folks fought back, and Woodrow Wilson had to call in the National Guards real quick after that. Because first black folks was getting killed and slaughtered, and then black folks said, "The hell with that, we're gonna start killing them." So look at the Washington race riot, or I call them massacres. I don't
I
call
have
them
it
riots.
here. I have it here on the right here now on the screen
Yeah,
on
we
the
gotta
Washington
then tell them
Post.
stories. Cause I'm tired of people saying I'm not my ancestors. Hell, my great grandfather killed a white man for disrespecting his mama, and he left South Carolina to change his last name from Perret to French, and had about 10 kids in his 60s and 70s.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, so I got hope. I got hope.
You got hope.
But yeah, his kid's late. He's like his late 50s, all the way up to like he died in his 70s, getting ready for Sunday school.
And I
But he
want
was
to
a master barber and stuff like that in Kansas City, Kansas. But that's my grandma, my father's mother, father. So
I
she was
want
the
to point
last one.
out this right here, what I have on the screen. Deadly race riot aided and abetted by the Washington Post a century ago.
That's right.
A front page article helped incite the violence in the nation's capital that left as many as 39 dead. It was more than that.
You know it.
You see here how the media, they tell us the truth on themselves from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
They help start this shit. So my question is, people who like to believe everything media says, when did this change? When did the media stop inciting bullshit?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a date? So
William Randolph Hearst, they started the Spanish American
War.
William Randolph Hearst, yeah.
Yep.
On a lie.
Yep. On a lie. And so we have. That's why I like talking to you, Ron, because you know so many stories, and not only do you know the stories, you understand the details of the stories, and you do a great job communicating them.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And for everyone who listens to my show, I encourage y'all to listen to Ronald's show. Where can they find your show, man, before we keep going?
We all BTV while you still can. YouTube be tripping. We talk about Nick Cannon. They took down some of my videos, man.
They be taking down your Dick Gregory video. They be taking down
Judge Joe Brown.
You get into that real shit.
About the agenda. Judge Joe Brown talked about the agenda. Now it's all coming true.
Yeah.
People thought he was crazy. They thought Dick Gregory, all the stuff going on right now, Dick Gregory talked about this 4 years ago.
And when he said it might not be an election, listen, we still don't know. Right. Yeah, because Ronald, you do a great job of putting the information out there. You're a treasure to Black society. You put the people out there who we need to hear from, and you give us the information that we need to hear. So I would, and on the same broadcast, you're more than welcome to post this on your site, on your page. I'm cool with that, because so you have a very your people you have a very intelligent audience. You know what I mean, and that's a salute to you. You're right, Gerard. I said Gerald. You're right, Gerard. In the chat room, information is key. And we as Black people, I totally understand that we're not stupid. We're just misled and misinformed. And if you give us the game, we gonna be good. The problem is people don't be wanting to give us a game, and you help us with that. For those listening, I thank y'all for listening in. Hotep Ish. Is there anything else you want to get covered? Because I ain't in no rush, but if there's anything else you want to talk about before we left?
It's so much going on, brother. I thank you for lending your platform, man. It's an honor. Like I said, you are a unsung hero in this info wars as well, too, brother. I salute you on the front lines in the trenches. And I look forward to whatever you got to put out and support that as well. I just want people to stop looking for heroes outside yourself, or heroes or she-roos, and stop needing people to tell you what to say or do or think. Do the research. Don't always accept what Judge Joe Brown or anybody else or Dick Gregory say. A lot of times our people will get you in the right neighborhood, the right zip code, but the wrong house. So you got to find the house, get your own GPS together, and think for yourself, and know how to utilize the information to your leverage, because information is power. The most powerful institutions are ran on information, whether it be Wall Street, whether it be the FBI, the CIA, is more powerful than a gun. Information, if you know how to leverage it right. And you got to be able to reclaim your narrative, stand your ground on truth telling. And that's important, because you got to take a stand sometimes, because they're killing you anyway. You might well die for something worth dying for. Because Dr. King once said, if man ain't willing to die for anything, he isn't fit to live. And that's Dr. King. So thank you, Brother Juan. Peace and blessings to everybody in the family.
I appreciate that. Donate to the Cash App. Y'all see it down low. Visit the website, hotepish.com. We Are BTV on YouTube for Ronald Herd. Subscribe to the channel. Oh, and y'all, I want to talk to you about Randy Short too, but we don't.
You got to get him on your show.
I want to get him. We talked on the phone once. I got to get him on my show. Yes, look up Ronald's interviews with Randy Short. Some of the best shit ever. Look them interviews up first, and then go to everybody else. Just look his interviews up. If you see Dr. Randy Short in the title, look up that interview and listen to it. And I'm gonna try to get Randy Short on this show too, because he's also another treasure to our society who tells the truth. So
I'm
thank
gonna
y'all
talk
for
to him later on
listening.
today. I talked to him earlier
Go
today.
ahead.
I'm gonna have him on. Got some good stuff. Cause you know he's friends with Roger Stone. He's real close to Roger Stone.
Yeah, he's close to Roger Stone. And
You know
didn't
they
Trump
took
just
pictures.
pardon
Yeah.
Roger Stone?
Huh?
Is Trump pardoning Roger Stone?
Yeah, he did already. He did on Friday. Like I tell people, Barack Obama throw his people under the bus. Donald Trump keep his people from riding the prison bus. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
He
I
look out
thought
for his people.
Because Roger Stone looks crazy.
He was
I had
crazy
a
looking.
whole new perspective of him when I heard Dr. Randy Short break down who Roger Stone really is.
Mm-hmm.
And so all I'm saying is listen with an open mind. You ain't got to agree with everything people say. Because Lord,
That's
no,
right.
I don't agree with everything Judge Joe Brown say, but I love the fact that he tell the truth. I do not agree. I ain't voting for no Trump judge. I love you, but nah, I'm not fucking with Trump. But the information's still valuable. And for those who think, you'll love it and you'll do something with it. Thank y'all. Listen again. And remember this. There are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up game. My name is Dwan B. We out. Thanks.
Peace. Blessings. Thank you.